Well, I didn't, well, first, let me call to order the March 2025 Southbury Zoning Commission meeting. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, seating of alternates, we'll place, who wants to be seated? Jay in place of Susan. All right, new business, public hearings, application number 1106Z, 180 Lower Fish Rock Road, Southbury, Connecticut. Mr. Rick Yarsolt, owner, Brian Nestoriak of B&B Engineering, application for sale exception, special exception soil extraction permit. Nobody's here?
So Gary, in the file will be a request for an extension from the applicant as they didn't have the necessary information ready for tonight's meeting.
Okay. So we will extend the public hearing since it's still open until next month. And hopefully they'll show up with the required material. Okay, thank you. All right, closed public hearing, discussion continued. Application number 250106Z, 33 Burma Road, Southbury, Connecticut. Ms. Esma Salmani, petitioner, applicant. Petition for zone map change pursuant to zoning regulations, section 15, zone map amendment. All right, everybody in the room, the public hearing is closed. Nobody from the public can really talk. It's our discussion. We had a work session 2 weeks ago. Boy, it went by fast, 2 weeks. Has everybody had a chance to review the Planning Commission video? It was hard to listen to. It wasn't the best of videos. Sonia, do you know that?
I'm sorry.
And Jordan, that wasn't a very good video.
It's an unfortunate one,
Recording.
yeah. The recording was off. The camera was effectively just on me, which I don't love. And yeah.
Is that on purpose?
I don't know. It was not. No. We generally check the cameras before the meetings. Sometimes they shift as this wall depletes and the room gets accumulated, but it was a tough one.
All right, from what my reading, my listening to it, it didn't seem as drastic an issue with them as was portrayed. I don't know if anybody else looked at it and got
I
that
read
impression.
that, only I could do was read the minutes. You know, I read the
Yep.
minutes and stuff, and I don't, think it was really, like you said, it wasn't the end of the world for them.
No. I mean, they seem to harp on the increased density of housing as the main issue. I don't see how one unit of housing is the killer of this request. Again, we don't have to approve it tonight. We can wait till, we have one more month to make our decision. If we want to have, people want to have further review of the documentation in hand and the online information from planning and whatnot. Please speak up.
I mean, I think I need a little bit more time. I agree, I didn't get the sentiment that it was as grave, you know, and of course I wasn't here at the original hearing, so I'm still going through.
Well, personally, I'd like to have them extended one more month. And again, review their video again and try to really get a feel for what they were trying to say. It was just difficult from my point of view to get, I just didn't get their point.
In the minutes of the meeting, they were concerned with the, retaining the rural nature of Southford. I don't picture Southford in that area as being rural.
No.
It's very commercial. So I don't know where that was, I didn't quite understand where that was coming from on their parts.
The comments about the rural features of Southford, the Southford Village District come from the 2006 Southford POCD. So they were discussing the adherence of that POCD with the proposed zone change.
Okay, but that's POCD 2000, that's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
A lot has changed in 20 years in Southford.
And that was discussed as well, which is why it was reflected that the updated POCD still has comments in there that reflect on the Southford Village District specifically. And that was, what you just said was discussed during the planning commission meeting, and then the further clarification of what's still within the POCD to modern day times is still kind of substantiated through.
How does anybody else feel?
I didn't end up watching the video of the planning meeting, so maybe it would help, because
I mean, if you just
on the
read-
surface, it's a negative reference, and we have the substantial comments from Jordan, who we rely on, or I rely on.
Yeah,
So, maybe a little deeper dive into that meeting
I think,
is a good idea.
I'm gonna listen to it again, watch it again, because again, I didn't get the impression that the point they were trying to get across just didn't hit me the way it was portrayed last month at the public hearing meeting. So I don't know, Dave, Rod,
I was struggling.
you struggling?
It didn't, it.
Well, I think
kinda
then
saw
it's
the
best
point,
that,
But I didn't see, didn't think it
okay.
was strongly appealing.
I mean, I want to make the right decision. I want
Yeah.
this commission to walk away with the feeling that we did right for the town of Southbury.
Yeah.
And it's really for the town of Southbury and maybe the subset of Southford, but we have to do right by the town of Southbury. So, my recommendation is we hold off one more month. And everybody continue to review and re-review and think about it. And next month, we'll make our decision.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay? All right. That's what we're doing.
Thank you for your attendance, everybody
Yes.
who came in connection with this application.
All right, old business, application 25022Z, PDD number 9, assisted living, amendment number 8, 655 Main Street South, Southbury, Connecticut. Mr. Peter Olson on behalf of the owner of Monarch Communities Healthcare. Read it.
Gary? Just one thing, we didn't make a motion to continue the
Oh, okay.
application.
Do I hear a motion to continue the
Okay.
discussion to next month?
Yes.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay.
Good evening, my name is Peter Olson. I'm an attorney with an office in Bethel at 275 Greenwood Avenue. My firm name is Land Use and Conservation Council. I'm here tonight on behalf of Monarch Communities. We're the operator of the assisted living facility at 655 Main Street South. We have the applicant before you tonight, represented here tonight by Kathy Harwell, sitting in the second row, Vice President. So this hopefully is a fairly straightforward request. We submitted it about a month ago, and our hope was that you would allow us to rely on the existing approved detailed plans, and to say here's what we're changing with a new sign, replacing the existing sign. But we got the message back that we needed to do a little more work, so we hired a surveyor. We hired the firm that did the original engineering drawings for the facility, so we got lucky that Mark Lancourt here in Southbury is still around and still practicing and has a bunch of stuff. So, we prepared that survey of the area that is going to be, the relocation, or the replacement of the sign. We also went and flagged the wetlands. There is a pond that was constructed to receive essentially runoff from I-84. The river that, or the stream that was running through there was getting silted up, so they built a pond to receive all of that runoff. We wanted to make sure that we knew the exact boundaries of that, and it turned out that our sign was within the wetland upland review area of 50 feet. So we made an application to resolve that question. So that's what we've been doing since we submitted the application, we provided here, but I think we're in good shape now, and we're here to ask you to approve this request. So the property was first developed in 1999, around there. It's had many names over the years. The development was approved pursuant to a planned development district, Plan Development District number 9, approved June 3rd, 1998. There's been many amendments to that plan development district since then. Thank you. Green light should have been obvious. A lot of amendments to the detailed development plans over the years. The last one, we think, was July 2011. So our plan, which is very small, is that we'd like to take the existing street sign, take it down, rotate a new sign 90 degrees, and put in the new sign. This is because we don't think the street sign is terribly visible from Main Street. It's set kind of far back, and because it's perpendicular with the trees and whatever, it's just not very visible. So essentially what we're doing is replacing the sign in place, just rotating it 90 degrees to fix that, we hope. So I'm not sure if you have the survey, and was it passed out to you?
Yeah, we
It
have.
was sent.
Yep.
It was sent, okay. So I have a survey if anybody would like to look at it, just to show you exactly the location of it. But I also have some photographs to show you of the existing sign. I'll just pass these out. I have one larger one to share, a smaller one. My color printer was not behaving correctly today, so I apologize if they're in black and white.
This is the existing sign, or this is the
No,
contemplated sign?
that's gotta be a new one. Is it? Is,
This is the proposed new sign.
This is the existing sign.
This is the existing
This is the
sign.
existing sign. Figured we'd start with what's there.
look funny. doesn't it?
Tell how big it is.
So the proposed sign is slightly different. It still has a stone base. The sign will extend downward to the top of the base and will be slightly taller than the existing sign. We have this proposal that hopefully was distributed to all of you. I just brought one copy, if you could take that and pass it along. The sign area of the new sign is 48 square feet, which complies with the regulations. And it matches the regulations in terms of height in the business zone. That sign, the proposed sign, is 6 feet tall by 8 feet wide. And the existing sign is also 8 feet wide with a slightly wider base. As I said, the proposed sign complies with the sign regulations for the business zone, section 10.6 of the zoning regulations. Your staff pointed out to me today a distinction in the PDD 9 regulation language that I want to address. So in the regulation language that goes with PDD 9, which is a zoning regulation, right? It does govern our property as sort of a separate zone. Section 2.6.6 says, signs shall conform to the requirements of section 10, signs of the zoning regulations, that are applicable in the B3B business districts. So we do, that's the point of the proposed sign, will comply with that. And then it says, provided, however, that one sign at the driveway along Main Street South shall rest upon the ground not exceeding a height of 48 inches and 48 square feet in area, and located within the boundary of PDD number 9, may be provided. So as a lawyer, I read this and say, I don't know what that actually means. It doesn't make much sense as a sentence, but the important part for you is
The 48.
may be provided. So our position is that it is the regulations of section 10 of the zoning regulations that govern. If we comply with those, the sign's allowed. There is an alternative path to comply with this language if for some reason we didn't meet the criteria of the zoning regulations. The language may be provided tells me that it's not mandatory, it's just a different way to do it. And in fact, in one of the amendments to the PDD, you'll forgive me, I have to find it.
adopted May 14th, 2009. There was a recognition where it says, "The modification of the detailed plans notes the following description of the approved street ground sign. Sign height 38 inches, sign width 96 inches, sign depth 2 inches, double-faced carved sign with white background mounted on an existing granite slab, existing sign poles painted green, gold leaf, et cetera, et cetera." And that is the existing sign. We have just a covering over it. We replaced the surface of it with a different surface. And this recognizes that language in the PDD 9 is not what was governing the commission's decision back in 2009 for the existing sign. The height doesn't match, for example. So, we submitted this application asking you to amend the detailed plans for the PDD to allow the existing sign to be replaced with this proposed sign in accordance with the sign plans that we submitted to you. We think that complies with the regulations and should be approved. As I said, we submitted an application for approval of minimal activity that was approved by staff, and so we're covered on the wetland side. We also submitted an application to the Housatonic Health District for building activity. They've approved that, and I forwarded that to staff as well. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions and hopefully move on to an approval. Thank you.
Okay, I think before if we have any questions, Jordan, do you have anything?
Everything Peter has elaborated on is accurate. The specific language of 2.6.6 would have to be discussed and decided on because shall and may are throughout that section as it describes the specific height that's required. And that's effectively what this commission would need to drill down on at this junction. There's a draft resolution ready to go if the commission determines that this sign comports with the regulations. However, if it doesn't, an amended sign would need to be proposed or a regulation change would need to be
What's
proposed.
staff's opinion as far as, does it follow the regulation?
The way I read that, and I'll just touch on it again.
Well, it's not resting on the ground, is it?
Yes, it's a ground-mounted freestanding sign.
The
So-
stone base counts.
And the
Stone
current
base
sign
counts as ground?
is the same size you're gonna put up, the one that's sitting
The
there?
proposed sign is larger. It's taller, but the same width.
So, however, that one sign at the driveway along Main Street South shall rest upon the ground not exceeding a height of 48 inches and 48 square feet in area and located within the boundary of PDD 9, may be provided. So it's kind of a back and forth between shall and may. Because if you read the shall, it shall be placed on the ground mounted, and it shall not have a height exceeding 48 inches with 48 square feet total. And then may be provided almost alludes to the fact that they could utilize this if they so chose.
Okay, but the existing sign is not mounted on the ground.
Yeah, it's mounted on that stone finish.
Right.
Is that considered part of the sign?
No, I wouldn't. No. The sign would be
I mean-
the face structure as we're measuring it. What's supporting the sign would be in support of that. And there are regulations that dictate supports and total sign height with supports being elaborated on. However, this section does not elaborate on that.
In this proposed picture,
Mm-hmm.
what is the sign? It's
I get what he's
this
saying.
portion above the stone masonry,
Correct.
okay. And that's bigger than what they have now.
Correct.
How much?
Square footage is the same. Well, it meets the maximum, however, the height is exceeding and the width is reduced.
What is the difference in the height?
I don't have the existing dimensions with my documents right now, so I don't know the
Current height of
exact.
the sign from ground to top
Yeah.
is approximately 6 feet. It depends on the grade of the bottom where you measure it. So it's either 1 inch below or 1 inch above 6 feet. The new sign will be 8 feet high, because the sign itself is 6 feet, and the base is 2 feet.
All right, so you're saying this height is 6 feet
Yes,
now?
approximately. I don't want to get
Yeah,
into a dispute about
yeah.
inches. But I think you, Mr. Chairman, you identified sort of why I think this language in the PDD regulation isn't applicable. I mean, it could be, but it isn't. And it's because the shall rest upon the ground. And I don't view the existing sign as resting upon the ground. I think it's on posts on a base. And so when you approved that existing sign in 2009, and I say you, meaning the zoning commission, I don't know how many of you were here, if any, you were recognizing that the existing sign wasn't strictly following this language either.
Right.
I think the word shall modifies rest upon the ground, and the rest of it is not modified by shall. And then all of that is essentially thrown out, may be provided. So the way that I think this has to be read is, you have one path, which is signs have to comply with the zoning regulations for the business zones, which the proposed sign does. And then there's another path, and I can't really envision another path that might not comply with those regulations, but another path would be this type of sign. I couldn't tell you the relationship between this section as adopted in 2009 and the zoning regulations in effect in 2009. There may have been something the commission at that time was concerned about.
So the way you have the sign oriented right now, the lighting shines away from the street. But the way you have the sign contemplated, are those lights gonna shine towards the street?
So if this is the street, Main Street South, the sign is currently like this. And so the light only faces one direction.
So this sign doesn't face the street.
No,
No.
it does not. It's perpendicular to the street.
Yeah.
And so the light faces west on Main Street South. When we orient it this way, so it's parallel to the street, the light will face away from the street.
Okay, in my head, I had it the other way around.
Yeah, I did too when I drafted the application, but it's definitely the case that that's what we're doing. It's currently this way, we're making it this
So
way.
you're going to parallel.
We're going to parallel.
That makes more sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
Is there a reason you couldn't just stick with the same size? Because it looks,
The
in
issue
scale and
is,
stuff, it looks appropriate.
yeah, the issue is that the wooded vegetation on both sides and the setback of 20 feet, which is the setback in the zoning regulations, 10.6, which we're abiding by, plus the fact it's a state highway with, additional land between the road and the property line, makes it difficult to see the sign from the road, whatever the height is. And so we're trying to increase that so that it's much more visible from the road. We could, because of, geometry, move it closer to the road. But we don't really want to do that. We want to observe what's in the zoning regulation at 20 feet. And so this is what's needed to make it visible.
So it complies with 10. Still gonna have a single light?
Single light, yeah.
Which won't be affecting traffic.
I get blinded easily.
Yeah, we don't think there's any need to illuminate from the backside. You're already in the property, you already know
It's
where you
actually
are.
gonna be better for traffic,
Yeah.
Yeah, it
light,
would be.
light-wise.
And I'm with you, the new headlights just, yeah.
Jordan's looking at me like, what?
And it's almost a shame somebody didn't put that sign like this when they first put it up. This is, to me, in my thinking, this is how it should have been from day one.
The
Facing-
proposed sign or the existing sign?
The proposed, how it's
Should
facing.
have been parallel.
Just where, where it's
Yeah.
facing.
It seems like it was contemplated to be seen coming and going
Right.
Yeah.
initially, but you're saying it's now not visible.
Well, one of the
Sufficiently
issues with that is they built this detention pond to pick up the sediment from I-84. And when it was built, you could see the sign coming from the westerly direction to the east. Now, there's vegetation all around the edge of the pond.
Yeah.
So, you can see directly in that photograph there, behind the sign is a fairly large amount of vegetation that
Can they
just
remove
blocks
that
it from that
vegetation?
direction. Sorry?
Not without a wetlands permit.
Is it invasive? Probably most of it is.
I'd say some of it is,
I see what you're saying.
but without a frank discussion with the Wetlands Commission.
They would have no problem getting rid of invasives.
Invasives, no problem.
Hey, we're in here.
Gotta have a talk with
Keep
them.
that in mind.
You see it, Todd?
Pond area
Yeah.
could be
Like
cleaned
right
up of
here.
invasive
Could
species.
Behind
Very
the
easily.
bushes,
Right.
basically.
Without a, I mean, wetlands
It's like
might
you
give
see
you a
it
problem
after
with
you
that.
come in. It's
Yeah.
one of
But we
those
don't think
places
that
where you
solves
have
the
to know where
visibility
you're
problem,
going
but
to find it.
There's probably a lot of issue with the
Looks like if,
streetscapes,
even if they
trees
change it
too,
90 degrees, it's still gonna be behind the
coming
bush.
up and down Main Street, so
Those are
I
very good
understand why
trees,
you wanna
not
move it
long
the other
for this
way, that
world.
makes sense. Except you don't see it until you're right on top of it.
Right.
But then, most people,
Oh.
if that's a destination, they know where they're going to begin with.
Google Maps will tell you, and then when you're close enough, you can see it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know, I don't have any real issue with this. This isn't gonna create a problem with other signs on Main Street, is it?
It's PDD. It's very unique.
Yeah, but PDD, we don't have to go to public hearing, right?
No, if this commission determines the
A minor
modification to be
modification,
placed.
which I think it is, let's stay away from that. That's my feeling. Anybody else?
I agree. I mean, I don't see this as a real substantive issue or change. It, just looking at the pictures, it would make sense for it to be in the proposed
I mean-
direction.
They are a good taxpayer for the town of Southbury, so, I don't see why not. That's my opinion. And everything looks good there anyway. I mean, the whole site, it's a nicely kept site, so,
What's your opinion on the language of the regulation?
I think it's all bendable. It's just language.
Well, hopefully, we'll get the language resolved with this new, company.
No, this
No,
isn't
no.
part of it, Jay.
They
This
will
is
not.
unique to the
They
PDD.
don't go into PDD.
Okay.
If they
Just a-
wanted to amend the language, which they have the opportunity to do at any time, they would just have to propose that to this commission.
Okay.
Which would be a public hearing.
Yes, sir.
Correct. So I think we will probably want to do that to clean it up.
Mm.
But we'll wait till we have something more significant to ask you for and do it at that time.
So can we just go forward and, is that what you wanna do? You say we have a resolution written up?
Minor.
Yeah, it should have been sent to you.
It was sent to me?
If not.
When, today?
package, and I got a draft right here.
Wanna read it? It's-
Oh, that's already on. Southbury Zoning Commission, Town of Southbury, Connecticut, Resolution PDD Text Modification Amendment Number 7. Monarch Southbury Senior Living, PDD Number 655, Main Street South. March 12th, 2025. Whereas on February 11th, 2025, the zoning commission received a site plan modification application from Monarch Communities seeking approval to modify their existing freestanding sign along Main Street South. Whereas this modification would alter the existing freestanding sign by removing the existing sign and replacing it with a new sign to be oriented 90 degrees. This change will provide a better view from passing motorists and people leaving the parcel. Signage will be 72 inches tall and 96 inches wide, with lettering varying from 6 inches to 10 inches. Signage will be installed on a 120-inch wide by 24-inch tall base, which will be finished with a stone exterior. The applicant was heard at a regularly scheduled meeting conducted by the zoning commission on March 12th, 2025. Due to the minor nature of the modification, a public hearing was not scheduled, and a referral was not requested from the planning commission. Whereas, the zoning commission has reviewed and considered all of the documents presented without limitation. Based upon this review, the zoning commission finds that the proposed site plan modification to PDD number 9 would not fundamentally alter the character of the approved detailed plans. Now, therefore, be it resolved that amendment number 7 to the PDD number 9 site plan is approved, subject to the following administrative requirements. 1, applications for the construction of the freestanding sign are to be submitted to the zoning and building department. Adopted at a regular meeting by the zoning commission held on March 12th, 2025, effective date of approval, April 4th, 2025. Gary Giroux, Chairman, South Bear Zoning Commission.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve as read?
Sure.
Yes,
Second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion or okay with this? Okay, all those in favor?
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're all set. Thank you.
All right.
Night, other old business discussion on comprehensive zoning regulation update from the RFP selection committee. Who's on the committee?
Who's on that committee?
Oh, you are, aren't you?
I am.
Who's the chairman?
We don't have a chairman. We're just
Who's the
people.
spokesman? Sounds like you are, Mark.
Okay, so we have the two proposals, and I've read them each twice, and I haven't done any further research by contacting any of the towns that they list as references, but that's the point that I'm at. So,
Okay. Jordan, have you contacted any towns?
I've not spoken with any of the towns on the list yet, no.
Okay. What's the time frame on this?
To be determined.
Yeah, oh, okay.
But we obviously want to respect this commission's time and move forward with the project, because it's gonna be a lengthy one. So if Susan was another member and Jay is a member, if the selection committee isn't ready to have a sit-down at this junction, then we'd probably make that decision at the next meeting and really kind of push to make that the date of selection, or at least a date where we would decide we're getting together on X date and we're actually gonna start making some decisions.
All right. Is that-
Otherwise, we could set up some meetings in the interim and have discussions, but
Is that what you wanna do?
that sounds very parliamentary.
Yes.
we'll
Next meeting.
meet
Okay.
again. The office will get in touch with Susan, let her know the plan as far
Thank
as
you.
this goes, so that she can prep and be ready for the next meeting as well.
Susan on the committee.
All right, correspondence, we have a NVCOG referral report. This is for Burma Road, and they basically find no impact, no interagency, no interregional, municipal impact, so
Wait,
we're
what is
okay
that?
with it.
What is that?
Margaret Valley Council of Governments,
Okay.
Southbury's a part of them, as well as other towns, so anytime a zone map change occurs, we have to refer to them.
Okay.
They have staff that will review it, we'll talk to other towns in the area.
Okay.
So they have no issue with the zone line change. And this is the other, this is the big report that's basically part of this. This is all this, you can see they have a bunch of towns that reporting on. These are all either within this council of governments or neighboring towns to the council of governments. So, it's like a clearinghouse.
Yeah. Yes. You can't take me anywhere.
George, you got a report?
I'll just briefly discuss this. I had a meeting today with town council, about the legality of our section 12 regulations as they stand currently. There are some challenges with respect to PDU regulations. As of right now, and I'm still gonna go back and forth with town council so we can determine exactly what the best course of action moving forward is. But given that PDUs allow for a more broad discretion with respect to permitted uses, and that authority is with the planning commission that doesn't have a legal right to make changes to the zoning regulations, there's a conflict there. So we may have to address that. We may have to look at section 12 comprehensively, possibly within the zoning regulation rewrite, or possibly at a different junction to kind of clear these things up and really figure out how we want them to look moving forward, how PDUs, PDDs need to be structured.
Could that be an initial assignment of the selected consultant? To take a look at that section?
I don't see why not. I've not gone through the process of the regulation rewrite, so the formalities of what it's gonna be when we actually step into the room with our consultant, I'm not privy to as of yet.
I mean,
But
if it is posing a problem or an issue, perhaps we can give that to them as an initial assignment and get it fixed right away,
Mhm.
even before the rest of the document's done. I think maybe if that is becoming an issue internally with, planning and zoning and whatnot,
Mhm.
we should have that done right away, as soon as possible.
Jordan, when does it come up as an issue? Can you give an example?
When does this? When an attorney tells me it's broken.
Did you say?
So never in an application.
Guys, what's going on here?
When an attorney comes to my office and wants to have a meeting and tells me that the regulation is broken, then it becomes a problem.
Did you say there was a challenge, or was that,
A challenge with respect to, Rod? I'm not,
did somebody challenge?
yes, an attorney came to my office and we had a discussion of, about section 12 and what they felt was improper or incorrect.
That's what I
After
thought you
sitting-
said.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Just apropos to nothing, or was there something going?
there's
on?
always something going on, Wendy, in the background. An attorney doesn't come by my office unless they want something on the other end. So, of course, there's something on the background. However, the issue still bears merit
Okay.
and it should be addressed moving forward, so. It's gonna be a tough conversation because planning is involved with PDUs and they like to have that control. So, it'll be a nuanced
Basically, what you're
conversation.
saying is, planning cannot modify the regulation like we can in a PDD,
PDD is a zone change.
right?
You're physically changing the zone.
And planning can't,
And the McKenzie
Zone
case,
change.
which is a land use case law essentially at this point, supports that vague waivers or allowances in a zoning regulation are unlawful. So if a regulation essentially says in a site plan or special exception that here's the setback, but if you feel, it comports with the overall aesthetic of the area, you can reduce that. That's too vague. That's a waiver that can't be supported because the zoning commission doesn't have the authority to amend or to provide variances to the regulations. That authority sits with the ZBA. The only reason the zoning commission here is allowed to conduct PDDs is because it operates as a comprehensive zone change, similar to the zone regulation rewrite we're doing under this commission's oversight.
Still has me very curious as to the origin story behind this controversy.
So have coffee anytime you want to talk about it. Wendy. I got stories.
okay. All right, well, let's make this the first assignment, and it can be a standalone right now, just get it approved. before the entire document's approved? Because that's gonna take a long time for the entire document. So I think right now, let's sort of take that route. All right. That's it?
That's all I got.
Okay. Meeting minutes?
Oh, thank
Wow.
you, Sonia. I apologize. We have hired a new zoning enforcement officer, and they've accepted our offer. Mark, always supportive, really.
Is it Mark?
Is that you know?
Right?
I personally think you do a great job.
He would be
A vote
scary.
of confidence.
Does Mark know that he's being?
Marty, I forgot you were over there. I'm sorry.
Actually tell him?
I think you have the most time.
I actually, I do have the most time. Right.
So, her first day was scheduled the 24th. I have jury duty, so we're likely gonna set it to the 25th.
This should lighten up your load.
It's gonna be great.
I hope.
She's gonna be great.
Is the background, is her background in something similar?
Her background relies significantly on understanding code and understanding state regulations. So where I'm gonna have to support the new hire will be on wetlands aspects, site work, visual observations of natural features and things like that. But from the zoning side of things and understanding the state legislature and the town municipality and how everything jives together, not to mention the legality of our regulations and the tough areas that are often, causing confusion, she'll have a lot of experience in that field.
All right, good.
And she knows Taekwondo?
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
That's the first requirement,
Yeah.
Marty.
All right, let's move on. Minutes of last month's meeting. Has everybody gone through?
Awesome minutes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No problem?
Not a
All right, is there a
single,
motion to approve it?
move to approve them.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any bills or receipts? No. No. And there's no other business, right? I don't see anybody here, so I guess not. Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.